Hey everyone, Spencer the Knowledge Fearon from Sky Sports, his ringside toe-to-toe boxing podcast and hashtag toe-to-toe. Listen up, give Sporting Icon a follow.
Right, I was just watching a brief interview there with Spencer Fearon on IFL TV, so go over to IFL TV and have a watch of it yourself, where he spoke briefly about Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury. Now, of course, for the most part, most people are picking Wilder to win this one, and for whatever reason, it's like a lot of Wilder fans are almost getting offended by the fact that people say that Wilder's going to win this one, and quite comfortably, because it's too early for Tyson Fury. They get offended by this, but really, it's a compliment, isn't it, to say that Wilder is good, right? Now, Spencer Fearon, he said that Tyson Fury can win this fight. As long as he's switched on mentally, he can win this one. And I can agree with him to that point. Physically, Tyson Fury, it doesn't matter what kind of size he is, he's always fit. I don't think we're going to see Tyson Fury gas out, but if we ever do see him gas out, it's probably going to be against Wilder, because Wilder is pretty nippy on his feet. Now, the problem that I have with this fight is the pure inactivity and the level of opposition that Tyson Fury's come back before he's taken on Wilder. It's not the fact that he's took on these two guys, because as a two-fight comeback, it's perfectly acceptable, but to go straight into a world title fight for me is it's a bit worrying. But I can agree with a lot of what Spencer Fearon says, so I'm not going to go too much into what he said, but obviously you guys go check out that video yourself and make your own judgments. But his main point was, if Tyson Fury is switched on, then he can do it. Because Tyson Fury is very, very elusive. He does things that a big man should never be able to do. In the boxing ring, he's nippy on his feet, he's awkward, he's bendy, and you know, he hits you from silly angles himself. But equally, so does Wilder. And that's what makes this fight somewhat interesting, because luckily for Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder, I mean, he's very, very skilled at landing the big punches, okay? You know, he knows what to do. He knows how to get people in range, as in he can figure out the range, whereas his opponents can't, because he's so long in himself. But for all otherwise, his boxing brain and his skill-wise is on par with a turd. Let's be real about it, and it is. And again, I know people get upset about that, but it's absolutely true. But, you know, full credit to his coach. His coach has managed to polish him somehow, okay? Now, Wilder hits you from awkward angles, and it's very, very rare that he will hit you straight down the pipe, and that's what knocks you out. It isn't that at all. A lot of it is he will bring his right hand right the way back and almost cock it like a gun, and then detonate it. So it almost comes in like a catapult. So it like swings over, and he's quite happy to be hitting you with his wrists and with the underside of the hand. So it's almost like a hammer shot, it is. And a lot of the times it is on the back of the head, because for whatever reason, an opponent kind of like sees his shot coming like last minute, or last millisecond I should say, and they put their head down into the glove to protect the face. But he's aiming for the side and the back of the head, because that's what does the most damage. And when they're reeling from that, that's when he unloads a devastating shot. Now, for me, I think that to beat Deontay Wilder, and he is a points decision loss waiting to happen. He really is. He rides his luck too much and relies too much on the power punch. And there's only so far you can go at an elite level before you meet somebody who can take away your right hand, who will avoid it. Because so far there's only been one person who has managed to go the distance with Wilder, and that's because he could take the shots, and that was Fearon the first time round. Second time round, listen, Fearon was a walking potato sack with dreadlocks, as Joe Joyce called him. Okay, that's pretty much what he was. He had zero feet movement whatsoever, so he's very, very easy to hit. And that's why in this fight you could see that Wilder was hitting him with straight right hands as well at times, but he was still swinging. Now, one of the best ways to get in and avoid that right hand, and again, it's just my opinion, I'm no boxing analyst, okay, but is to, you can see the shot that's coming, because he never ever fires it from his waist, and the ones that he does do are not that effective. He needs to bring his arm right the way back, and as I said, like cock it like a gun, and then swing it like a catapult. Now, within those kind of like milliseconds that he does that in, a lot of fighters, as I said, they'll put their hands up in front of their face and put their head down and lean back. And that's what does the damage for them, because he's going for the back of the head. It's an illegal shot, but he gets away with it because it is fast. So the best way to do that is step to him. So therefore, he can't land on the back of your head. He can't do anything. And Tyson Fury needs to do that. But is Tyson Fury too big for that? Is he a sitting duck in this fight? Is this tailor-made for Wilder? Because Tyson Fury, he leans back. He does the whole rope-a-dope, but he can do it in the middle of the ring. Okay, so he's very, very difficult to hit himself. But for me, I think that as soon as Wilder brings his right hand back to cock it, because for whatever reason, Wilder, he can't throw that big right hand without almost putting his left arm back as well, as if he's in a red arrow position. Okay, so his chin's right the way forward and he's just going for it. And within that very split second, he's vulnerable. Every time he throws that big right hand, he is vulnerable. So I think for me, the way to beat Wilder for Tyson Fury is to tuck in and go, just take one step forward. Because if you take one step forward, you're out of range from the wrist shot and the shot on the back of the head. So it's almost like if you do get hit, you'll get hit with the forearm at best. And whoever gets knocked out by a forearm shot, nobody. If anything, Wilder can end up breaking his damn arm with it, okay? And also try and go for the uppercut, because as I said, his chin comes right the way forward and it's vulnerable. All it takes is one shot from an uppercut and he could be gone. We know that Wilder doesn't like being hit on the whiskers. He does wobble. We've seen him wobbled on many occasions. But the problem is Tyson Fury powerful enough to do that? Because it does take a very decent shot to stun Wilder. And Wilder's been hit on plenty of occasions, but he's only been stumbled on a couple of occasions. One was against Eric Molina. Of course, we'll remember that one. He got dropped on his backside by Harold Scorniers in his 13th fight, and he's been hurt by Luis Ortiz most recently in his last fight. So he can be hurt, but can Tyson Fury hurt him? That's the real difficulty. Now, moving around is something that Wilder does very, very well. He's very good on his feet. He's not coordinated with his feet. He doesn't glide around the ring like an Amir Khan does. I mean, when Amir Khan does it, it's like he's on ice skates. But with Wilder, he is quite rigid, but he's awkward. And again, Wilder, he's not really one for leaning back himself. Okay, he will go side to side. And again, with Tyson Fury, he throws some awkward shots as well, and he will hit Wilder with shots that Wilder will not be expecting. Now, let's not say that Wilder only has the right hand, okay, because his left hook is pretty effective as well, but it's his right hand. If Tyson Fury can avoid that, there's no way, even right now, the condition that Tyson Fury may or may not be in and the time served out is really going to affect it, okay, because if he can avoid that right hand, there's no way that Wilder is going to outpoint Fury. But there again, if a fight does happen in Vegas, we all know what goes on in Vegas, so you never know, right? But again, this goes back to the Spencer Fearon bit, where Tyson Fury needs to be switched on, literally from beginning to end. He's got to set that pace. He's got to make it difficult for Wilder, and he can't just pitter-pat him, because if he pitter-pats Wilder, Wilder will just see red and go swinging for the fences. And it's not like Wilder places a normal shot, like a straight shot down the right or an uppercut or things like that. He does some real awkward things. So it's very difficult to know where the shot is going to land or where he's aiming for, because, to be honest, I don't think Wilder is particularly aiming for a shot. He's not particularly setting up a shot. Wilder's whole setup, and he does it every single fight, is his left arm almost has to be touching the rope and his opponent in front of him, because that way the opponent, if he tries to go right, he's leaning into the ropes. If he goes left, he's walking even harder into that big right hand. Or if he goes backwards, again, how close to the turnbuckle is he, and is he out of shot? So that's why I say, when Wilder cocks that big right hand, you need to step forward in that one. But there again, I mean, Tyson Fury, there's part of me that believes, and it is a very big part of me believes, that Tyson Fury would not take this fight unless he was confident of winning. I don't think that he's necessarily going to be selling his O or his linealship, but I do believe that he would rather lose to Wilder than lose to Joshua. Maybe that's why he's taking this fight now, way ahead of schedule, because he may not get another opportunity again. So yeah, if Tyson Fury can stay focused, always be wary of that right hand, yes, he can do it. But ultimately, can he avoid that right hand? How many people can actually avoid that right hand? So far, nobody's been managed to avoid it. The only person who's gone a distance, as I said, was Bermane Stiverne the first time round, and that's only because he could take the shot. Wilder always lands the shot, but there's going to come a time when he can't. Could it be against Fury? Maybe. Maybe. And I'd like to believe so. I'd like to believe that Tyson Fury can do this one. And ultimately on the night, I do believe the way that is going to go as of right now, if Tyson Fury isn't even close to how he was 3 years ago in Germany when he took the belts from Vladimir Klitschko, that if he's not even close to it, then for me, I can see Tyson Fury winning the first few rounds, but then ultimately getting clipped because his timing is off. Okay, he can't find the range, and he finds Wilder a lot more difficult than maybe he anticipates. Because Wilder is difficult, but at times he's vulnerable to hit as well. But I think to really stun Wilder, you've got to be a pretty big puncher, and we haven't seen Tyson Fury being a big puncher in quite some time. Now, that's not to say his shots don't hurt, of course they do, but these people are used to taking these kind of shots, okay? And as much as they will hurt and stun Wilder, will there be enough to make him think twice about engaging? I don't know. Anyway, you drop your thoughts below, click that thumbs up and subscribe. Catch you all on the next video.